This podcast contains real stories, adult language, and occasional chaos. Some content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised, especially if you're easily offended, overly nostalgic, or still living in a dorm.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dorm Disorder. This is part 2. I would like to talk about the work that you do. What really ultimately drove you into getting into documentaries? Like I love the fact that you do this.
Yeah.
Because one, I love documentaries.
Right.
Two, if I could make documentaries for a living, that's what I would do. So what drove you there?
You know, it was funny. It actually, I answered two fronts. Like one, the creative space, storytelling has always been something that has been in the back of my mind. Like I mentioned, there was a, what do you call it? Like a poetry writing journal. I can't remember the name of it, but like a piece that was created where people would write creative pieces at Girard. I was a part of that, being in the newspaper team, just kind of telling stories was always something I was fascinated in. Music, creative spaces like that. And I do love documentaries, but it all kind of happened randomly. I had been in a leadership program in the organization that I was working with. And like 6 years later, somebody that I happened to be in that organization's leadership program with called me up randomly. Like, it was like, hey, is this still your number? Like we hadn't talked in that long.
Right.
And so I'm like, yeah. He was like, let's set up a time to talk. And he was like, how would you like to go around the world and talk to people about faith and Jesus and what that looks like in their culture? Okay. I was like, with a film crew, I was like, yeah, sign me up. I was in ministry at the time. And so that was something that fit in turn. But I got to go to Sweden, Singapore, Argentina, South Africa, and Israel and Palestine in a 5-month window.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And have these conversations with a film crew following me around. And it just happened that person had remembered me from the leadership program, and that, I could kind of string some words together on camera or whatever in front of people. And that got me exposed to organization, Our Daily Bread Ministries that I work with, that they have an incredible film crew. And so I started doing a podcast with them called Where You're From, where we just kind of talk about people's stories and backstories. And I think that was still a background of understanding how people tick and their origin stories from different cultures and different ethnic groups and walks of life. And then from that, I actually, this was in 2021. So Juneteenth had just become a national holiday. Right. And I was like, I had always, it's funny, that even started at Girard. And one day I'm walking from the Armory in elementary school with Tyrone Morris. And I asked Tyrone, like, we were talking about middle names. My brother used to always make fun of my middle name, and Tyrone's middle name was Galveston. And I was like, Galveston, that's a weird name. Like, it's interesting. Why is your middle name Galveston? He was like, there's this place in Texas where black people didn't know they weren't free for 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. I was like, really?
That is wild.
That's someplace I'd like to go to one day, and see what's going on. Well, 2021 emerges, Juneteenth becomes a national holiday. And I'm like, I still would like to talk to people who had experienced that. So we ended up writing a proposal that was accepted by our organization to travel to Galveston and Texas. And then also we went to Houston and Dallas-Fort Worth to talk to the descendants of those who were emancipated on Juneteenth, to kind of understand how help us, the rest of the world that's not haven't been a part of this, because I didn't grow up celebrating Juneteenth or knowing about it, why this meant so much to you. And that became Juneteenth Faith and Freedom, which, PBS ended up picking up. We won film festival awards, across the country. Now it's on Amazon Prime and Tubi. And then we put out a soundtrack with it that Lecrae is on, 4-time Grammy Award winner.
Yeah, man, that's the part I liked.
So
the music,
and I think that just came, from just that love of music and hip hop. And so wanting to have that tell its story. So, but to kind of do that, it just kind of fell. And now I'm working on a new one. So yeah, so it's been exciting. I love documentaries, to be able to kind of tell, stories. And that's why I was so excited that y'all were doing Dorm Disorder, because I'm like, the story of Girard, I didn't realize how unique of a place it is until I got older. Like just some basic facts, right? Like one, Philadelphia is the first capital of the United States.
Yep.
Stephen Girard was the wealthiest man in America when he died. Like so wealthy that the government,
world.
Thank you. That the U.S. government is like, yo, can you slide us some money to help fund the war of 1812, right? So you have that. So then you have the fact that the school I don't know how many other schools have appeared before the Supreme Court twice for two different issues over its span of time. Probably zero.
Right. Harvard, maybe Yale.
The Board of City Trustees.
Not no high school.
Exactly. Not no high school. The Board of City Trustees for the city of Philadelphia established to run, the estate, and it's the largest estate that it runs. And I think all of those things just kind of caused me to appreciate how unique. And then because it's funny, because like you have this moment when when someone says, "So where'd you go to school?" and you have to like take a deep breath to go, okay, how do I explain this? First of all, it's called a college, but it's not a college. It's a K through 12 school. Secondly, it's a boarding school, but not like how you think of boarding school. Like, especially, you're like, where it's like, oh, a bunch of posh people named Chad and like, Chinos and Blazers. It's like, nah, this was kind of in North Philly. It's in North Philly, but there's a wall around it. So it's all these complex dynamics that make it such a unique experience. And there's just not a whole lot of stuff, and then the people who it's formed you to be, and what I mean, like, because the reality is, every time, like, in spite of all the difficulties and the outsiderness that we experience, man, when you go into that chapel graduation day with those, with the cap and gown on, and you walk through the aisle, I remember seeing my brother who like never cried, like, in the sunglasses, this whole class had on sunglasses, you know what I mean? Like to try to avoid. And I was like, they were just weeping. Yeah. And then when you do that, Hail Girard at the end, and it's like, there's something about that all the cumulative experiences that you've built up over, I remember thinking, I spent more time here than I did at home with my family. Cause there was pleasure schools during the summer. There was, which is such a weird name, but pleasure school. I'm like, what? There's so many things that was just like, this is weird. Hummers. Okay. Hummers going to pleasure school. So there's these weird things, but at the end of the day, like, man, those moments you just take with you, and it's different, right? You can not see somebody for 5-10 years, but then you see them and it's like a teacher, a house parent, a student, and it's like your family, So yeah. So I got it. So that's been exciting to tell those stories and to be about that. And I have a new one that's coming out.
What's next?
So this is kind of cool because basically I got an opportunity, and again, sometimes things just, drop in your lap, where I got an opportunity to interview Maya Moore Irons, the WNBA legend, Hall of Fame basketball player, her and her husband, for the podcast that I was doing.
Nice.
Now, big part of her story, and it's been told, it was on the 30 for 30 on it and other things, is at the height of her career, right? Like she had just won a championship with the Minnesota Lynx. She steps away from basketball to help exonerate this man, Jonathan Irons, who had been in prison for over 20 years for a crime he didn't commit.
Right.
Then, so she steps away from basketball, pushes her resources and attention to generate, knowledge for it. And it works. He gets exonerated and gets released in 2020. Then plot twist, they get married, you know what I mean? Soon after that, and they have this family. So in any case, the story is really compelling. So in any case, I get the opportunity because our ministry wanted to focus on prison reform and like the things that we can do. So we were doing this interview to kind of talk about their story. And also I get to sit down with like one of the GOATs and like just talk about her basketball career, which was amazing. Super humble person, so chill. So, any case, while we're interviewing them, Jonathan comes up to me and was like, "Hey, would you help me? I want to go back to the prison that I was at for 23 years and do a concert with Lecrae, the Grammy who he had a friendship with. I had worked with on Juneteenth, so I knew kind of his people. And I was like, bro, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. So we end up working together. Lecrae and his folks say, yes, we can do it. And I'm like, you know what? We should document this because this is phenomenal. Like the fact that you There's 99% of the population, if they were in prison someplace for a crime, for anything, but especially when you didn't, you were innocent, they like deuces, I'm out. Yeah. The fact that you even want to do this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think more people need to hear this story. So we end up going in January. Maya's there, Lecrae, Tadashi, another Billboard charting artist. And we do this outreach. We were there for 3 days. We shoot in 3 different locations in Missouri. Mm-hmm. And so it's called The Return. And it's all about Jonathan returning and what it was like, because he still knows folks that are doing life, that are there. Dang. Right. And dude, to see the way that they were so excited about this dude coming back and us coming to do this thing, because maximum security prison, like people literally coming up to me like, yeah, I'm here because I killed somebody, like, or I ain't never getting out. I got life without. That's what life without. That just means there's no hope for change. To go into a place like that and to see their faces when, we're spending time with them and we got this unique access. So we're excited. We're not sure where it's going to, land yet. Mm-hmm. We're still, kind of starting to look at distribution deals and stuff like that. But you can check it out. It's called The Return. And I'm really excited to tell that story, because the reality is, the United States incarcerates 20% of the world's, incarcerated population. Right. And so it's a community that oftentimes just gets forgotten and overlooked. So I'm excited to help tell that story.
Do you know what the exoneration rate is amongst blacks? I think it's somewhere like around 50% of all exonerations. 50% of them are black people. I don't know that
specific detail, but let me tell you, ever since we did that interview, the first set that we did, like I still get letters from inmates all over the country. Like it's like regular now. Like they'll write to the Ministry of Getting and send me the letter. But yeah, it's a lot. Between the Innocence Project, and especially with Jonathan's case. And so one of the things that Maya and Jonathan are doing, they have an organization called Win with Justice, and it is looking to change the incentive structures because right now prosecutors, first of all, they're voted in, so we get the opportunity to select into that. So if you're watching, look at the elections, pay attention to that. But part of the problem is usually to mean tough on crime is just to say, how can I throw the most amount of people in prison for the longest amount of time? Exactly. And that's the record that I hold up. Right. And so one of the things that Maya and Jonathan are doing, it changes the incentive structures, because it creates a scenario where in his case, they saw it even after. So one, they suppressed evidence in this case. And then two, even after they brought it to light, so they know he's innocent, the state was still fighting against his release. This is the part that
actually confuses the life out of me. Yeah. They will defend poor choices to the death.
And it's because I think one of the incentive structure, because if they agree to it, it becomes a political football, right? Where people say, "Oh, you're soft on crime." And that's where we have to change the vision of what it looks like to rehabilitate people and what it looks like to, give people second chances. And Jonathan is a perfect example of that, because not only is he out, he has his own business, but he's actually intentionally hiring people who have a record, who have to check off that box, felony. And so they don't get that same opportunities. And so I'm hoping with this project that we'll draw attention to that whole struggle, because it is, and it's definitely racial bias, income bias.
That's about to say economic bias.
Yeah, because if I can afford somebody, if I'm just getting a court appointed defense attorney, like that's what Jonathan had, and it was just like they're just trying to sign off a deal real quick, make you cop a plea. He's like, but I'm innocent, and they're not even looking, and they're overworked. They got like 50 cases, right? And so yeah, there's a lot that is to that issue that we're trying to shine some light in. Also, it's just been great to see a lot of the prison ministry work that is happening, because one of the other aspects, and we're holding these two things together. On the one hand, advocacy looks like changing the rules and changing the laws and changing our vision, but the other side looks like visiting people. It just looks like not forgetting that they're there. Yeah. And that was something that he said so she's right before she goes to UConn. The summer before she goes to UConn, because they're the same age, her godfather, who was the chaplain of the prison that Jonathan was at, says, you need to meet this guy. And he talks about how that first meeting, he's thinking she's this middle-class person. She's a top draft pick or, highly touted high school student, was going to judge him. And she just looked at him and just treated, and they just had a conversation. And just that alone gave him a sense of hope and optimism. And so we're wanting to help encourage people to visit, folks who are incarcerated. Like, don't just forget about them. And just in doing that, there's a sense of connection that can also sometimes give people hope.
I don't know why this popped in my head, but you just said that, and my grandmother used to write letters to Ray Caruth for years. My grandmother sent her letters, but she was very much a person of the church.
Yeah,
and just told him that he needed to seek forgiveness and seek God. But yes, my grandmother is the nicest person I've ever met. So
Ray Caruth.
Ray Caruth.
Come on.
That's what the whole family. Like, you had the big Ray. Yeah. But she wrote. You know what?
Somebody who did it for sure.
Yes. Hey, look, my grandmother believed in the salvation of the soul first. So
when he said visiting somebody, I immediately thought of the Pacers Knicks series when they were playing, and if Reggie Miller lost, he had to go visit Mike Tyson in the Indiana State prison. They didn't lose, obviously, because the Knicks suck. But
had to get that in there. Had to get that in there.
But that is awesome information that I'm glad that you shared with us.
Absolutely.
And I think all of us as a communities, our home sides, not the GC side, but our home sides to some level will resonate with that.
Yep.
Because a lot of us, that's what home looked like.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. But I want to go back to Girard, what the time that we have left. And this is the Dorm Disorder podcast.
Yes.
So this is your time to speak about your history with dorm disorder.
Okay. All right. So senior year. This is.
You want to tell that story?
I didn't know what you were. Oh, you wanted to tell the
dorm disorder, man.
Go ahead and tell that story. We're not saying any names. Just we talked about it.
You don't have to, though. Seriously, you do not have to tell that story.
No peer pressure.
It's all good. Both of these are bad stories.
If you tell that story, though, I'm going to have to say that my part on that story.
I'll do it in chronological order. So middle school, something else happened that was troubling me for a while. So one day I'm in the bathroom and
this story. Yeah, I had this one on my list too.
It was, I don't know what happened, but for some reason I had a very bad stomach situation and what was coming out did not come out on the toilet. It came out on the wall. Like, just covered the wall and behind me. And I got up and I was like, I have not the facilities nor the inclination to clean this up. So I'm gonna clean myself up. And I dipped, left it just the way it was. A few hours later, I hear some people complaining about, as they're having to clean up the wall, who had done something wrong. They were in detention or something. They were like, man, I can't. Who did this? I can't. I'm get there. And I was just like, and I've kept that to myself for over 30 years until just now. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. So yeah, that was one. But
you know what year about that was?
That would have been 7th, 8th grade, and that because I was a merchant.
So we talking about in the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's some Girardians.
Somebody cleaned that up.
Some of y'all cleaned up.
I'm sorry. If that was you, I'm sorry.
Some of y'all did it. Now you know who the culprit was.
Yeah.
See y'all in National Mechanics.
The other reason why I appreciate Dr. Neba was the other story.
Yeah.
Senior year, even, like you said, you put on that senior jacket and now all of a sudden everybody got game, even if you don't. So it was a young lady I was seeing for a minute. Not the one people would probably mostly associate me with, who I had a longer term relationship with. But any case, so I sneak her into Bordeaux Hall, the downstairs bathroom.
Honestly, seriously though, when you even mentioned this, I wanted to stop you and be like, you did what? Because you were not that guy.
This is what I'm saying. So this is like January, my senior year. And so, we thinking, we big and bad. So like, I hear the door knock. I hear a knock at the door. And I'm like, like, don't say nothing. Like, maybe they'll just keep passing. The door is locked. 5 minutes go by. Knock, 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 knock. And then I know you're in there. So it's Neville, right? I know you're in there. And I'm like, I had never gotten in trouble. I had never gotten detention, no paddling, nothing, none of the things that I had seen my brother do. I always looked at him and go, okay, you got that work. I don't want that work. So. But this time I'm like, so it was in the winter. It was like January. So like I try to like put my coat over and I'm like, I'm just going to go by myself out the door and hopefully, of course, he walks right past me, sees her, tells us both to get up, go up to the office. Now, I had gotten an early acceptance at Penn in December. So I knew earlier, but it, where I was going, and it also meant that I had to commit to the school. But it was conditional. Like they put in the like fine print, if something
You fuck up.
if something happened, then we can rescind this, right? So first time getting in trouble, and I'm seeing my life flash before my eyes, right? So Neba goes to pick up the phone to call Wyatt. I slam the phone down. I grab it out the receiver out of his hand, and I'm like, look, I will break up right now. I will never do this again. And I said, break up right now. She looked at me. I'm like, look, this is not about you right now.
Survival of the fittest.
This is about survival.
It all comes full circle.
And I'm like, I am sorry. I'm tears. I'm like, I'm seeing my life before me.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll give you another chance. And so, we get out and I was like, sorry, sis. It was nice while it lasted. And so he kept his end of the bargain. He didn't tell nobody. So to this day, till this moment now, it was only 3 people that knew that story as far as I am aware. So that was my that was my dorm disorder because it was in a dorm and it was disorder.
Wow. Speak on it, bro.
That was before. That was so. Just the clarity that was before I began to be
So
in the spiritual path.
There's another episode. There's another episode where I thank Wyatt because of what he did for me, and it was because he didn't throw me out for getting caught with that same girl under the same circumstances in a different location. Probably the same year because I wasn't a senior.
But in a bathroom.
In a bathroom. Also in a
Wow.
bathroom.
Wow.
Yes. So
Thought it was me.
you know what? I just kind of until you told that story, I was like, she was in the same circumstances before, and she didn't go, nah, not that.
Yeah, man. So yeah. So it goes back to
She's an awesome person. She's doing great in life.
Second chances. I think that's kind of the theme that's been coming across.
That's
what
her
I mean?
third chance. So girls get more chances. That's also something we know.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's some wild shit.
That
right
is
there.
wild. That still tripped me out. I mean, you told that story, like, I was so tripped out. Like, you would not believe this. Actually, I had to go tell my wife that, I was like, she was like, what is wrong with you? I said, Sue just told me something that shook me to my core. She was like, what? I was like, remember that thing that happened with me? Yeah. Well, it wasn't the first time that happened to her.
Bro, which is so funny because when I talk to people about like Girard and being like, how like it shaped me and all this, and they're like, so would you send your daughter there? I was like, no. There's too many opportunities. There's too many situations and places to hide and do what you do. So I was like, nah, I'm good. We should do boarding school.
If you can get away with what I got away with, more power to you. I'd rather you have those skills of deception than that I grew to learn that.
Yeah. So yes.
So fun final thing we got. I want to talk about how you talked about how you weren't spiritual before.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how honestly, not shocking, Jermaine West is the reason why you became spiritual and how that
there's
led.
someone else with the spiritual and what he did at Girard. Let's not get into that.
Okay.
Jermaine West.
So,
Hey, look, all fall short of the glory of the Lord. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think long story short, an interesting part of the path was just kind of being curious spiritually, also seeing my own other situations that I saw that even though I had a good resume, senior class president, National Honor Society. It's funny that you mentioned that quote, that scripture, that all have fallen short of the glory of God, because that was an experience my senior year where I saw my own self.
Yeah.
And because for a while I believed the hype, and to be real, thought I was better than other people because of it, because I wasn't doing the same stuff that other people were doing, sneaking drinking in and all that stuff.
You still were better because you didn't get kicked out just now. You just told a story. You should have got kicked out.
Well, what I'm saying is I had better situation, but I wasn't better morally as a person.
Yes.
And I thought I was until situations like that caused me to see myself.
Yeah.
And it really left me with this question of like, if there is a God, and like, how does forgiveness work? How does reconciliation work? How do you know if you're on the right path? And I really didn't have an answer to that. And I started seeking. And so as I was in that process of seeking, Jermaine is my roommate, my senior year. And so he invites me to his church in Southwest Philly. Now, a place that I'd never have been really on a regular basis. So I get lost going around. So I'm like all the way at like 48th and Lancaster. So I'm like, all right, I give up. I can't find it. So I started walking back and for some reason I took the long way. So I decided to take the L and go to 40th and Market. And while I'm on 40th Street, I passed by this church. It's not there anymore, but it was called St. Joseph Baptist Church. And it was weird because normally you see like the service time, 11 a.m. But this one had the sermon time at noon, which was significant because I had been wandering around for an hour in the June heat, not knowing where I was. So someone invited me in. The AC comes on. That's the first thing I feel. I'm like, okay, this is of God. But then I started hearing the message, and there was just something that really pierced my soul in a way that I didn't even know was possible. And so, I started going back there and ended up, starting to be a follower of Jesus, believing the gospel. And it turns out two things happened that was wild. And again, not believing in coincidences. So I had no idea. This was June of my right after I graduated that I stumbled into this church. So I didn't know where I was going to be at Penn. I knew it was somewhere in West Philly, but turns out the church was 2 blocks away from my dorm all 4 years that I stayed. Which would have been necessary because Saturday nights were still late. You know what I mean? So I was able to roll out of bed. But then the other thing that happened a year into being there, and I was the only college student there, I ended up meeting my girlfriend, and then who later became my wife for 24 years. So it's kind of, and then being, on this path. And so I think for me, what it's been, I know what it's like to be a self-righteous person because I was secular and self-righteous. So for me, the thing that draws me to faith is not about being better than anybody else at all. It's actually the acute awareness of my own shortcomings. And, but the understanding of that, just like the second chances that we've been talking about, that how that changes lives, that God gives second chances and third and fourth. And so that was really meaningful, but then also kind of connecting that to justice too. And that's something that was really, I think, ironically, it started at Girard on a couple fronts. Like I remember, like I was really not a great student until I think 9th grade. We had Miss Smith, and she had us read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I remember reading his story and being like, yo, you was in prison and you wrote the dictionary out, what's my excuse, you know what I mean? And that really inspired me to kind of do well academically and just also see the plight of injustice that was broken in the world. And when I get to my senior year in college, we had to read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, and that was where the two things combined, because he talks about how much he was critical of the hypocrisy of Christianity in the country at the time that just supported and justified slavery. And then at the end of his book, he has this line that says, I love the pure, peaceable Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the slaveholding, women whipping, man plundering, hypocritical religion of this land. In fact, I see it nothing but the greatest of libels and slanders to call the religion of this land Christianity of Christ. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is in real time. This dude in the 1840s making this observation and about why his convictions lead him to do justice.
Yeah.
And that has been the firmest footing that I've found in my life to not just care about myself and my own personal salvation, but to do good in the world and to be a part of the healing process, and to clap at, like Douglas did, those who would dare name religion and faith to use it to exploit and to oppress others. I'm like, yo, he came with the thunder. So that gives me the blueprint to do the same. And so yeah, that's kind of been another journey. It's so funny because I mentioned to y'all in the chapel, where is that verse, it says, the Lord is in his holy temple, let all the earth keep silent before him. And I don't even know if it mentions the verse there, but it's in Habakkuk. The book is a small 3-chapter book of the prophets. And it starts with this question. Basically, the whole gist of the letter is him wrestling with justice in a broken world. Like, he literally asked the question, why do you allow violence and injustice to happen? The same question that we still continue to wrestle with. And so in the response, that's where it said, like, kind of like God is basically saying that people who do wicked are going to get theirs. Like, the injustice is going to, and so that's why it kind of says the Lord, the world, all should keep silent before him, because one of the things that happens when you are bragging about whatever you're doing is you talk trash, and he's like, they're going to be shut up. Similar to like when Washington was talking all that trash about beating the Eagles, and then it was like they had to shut up.
That was good. That's why he's the smart
55 to 23, I believe is what it was.
Yeah.
Double nickel.
I know I had this kind of circle, but any case,
good, though. That was pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so that it's so funny that verse, because it was you sit there every Wednesday and you're like, what's this about? And then later on in life to see, like, that's very much key to, like, kind of how I see the world.
That's pretty awesome. Well, we're getting towards the end of our show today.
Yeah.
This is normally where we do we'll do a thank you or a till our hearts be still, or a shout out to anybody.
Yeah.
So we'd like to start off with you.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna shout out class of 95. You know what I mean? 95. We just celebrated our 30th year anniversary. And it was so dope to see my classmates there. We didn't talk about Soul Store, but
we didn't talk about Soul
that
Store.
That was another piece, and it was so funny because I think one of the things so basically I started a store in my dorm. It started by accident, actually. It started because I was just annoyed that people kept asking me for my Kool-Aid that came from Sam's Club in the big container.
You
so I was just like,
for a quarter
give me a quarter. I just did it as a deterrent. And then they kept like, all right, sure, I'll give you quarters. And people kept coming and coming and coming. So then I would go back and I was like, okay, I'll add some Snickers to it. Okay, I'll add some chips. And it just kept growing from there. And I had my first taste of activism because of it as well, because it started to blow up. Jamal McKay was my roommate. So he was doing hair. He was cutting hair. And so then, of course, people wanted snacks while they was getting their hair cut or waiting. It was perfect. And then they tried to shut me down because they were like, I don't know why. They said it was sanitary issues. I'm like, come on, it's all sealed up. Yeah. So then I end up writing a petition and getting like signatures on it. And I met with Mr. Wyatt and I like made my case for why, and I think he was just he was like, all right, I'll let you. It was my senior year and he let me keep it. And so that was like my first like taste of like activism, and you can have a voice and whatnot. But yeah, shout out to Soul Store. But any case, just in my class in 30 years, and it's just been amazing to see us continue to grow. And we kind of showed up pretty strong at Founders Day this past year. So So I just want to shout out to class of 95.
Yeah, I saw a couple of y'all. Like, I hadn't seen like Rick. I ain't seen him since graduation.
Yeah. Pretty Ricky, what we call it.
Yeah, it was very good to see you guys out there. What you got, Dave?
Well, I got two. This is end of season 1, right? We're finished right here. This is the last recording we're doing. So the first one is going to be a thank you, and this goes out to Robert Fisher. So not just Mr. Fisher for the teacher, the person that tutored, the person that helped us through, listened to our problems. Robert Fisher, this is going to catch you. Nominated me for the Sports Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. I don't like talking about myself. I don't like talking about my accomplishments. It makes me very uncomfortable. Just talking about it now makes me uncomfortable. But in groups, as we talked, you adapt. I was very obnoxious in high school, to the point where in the yearbook they dedicated my ego its own area code, 191 Dan. So, but that was just a persona I put out because I just did. I just thought it was something funny to do. But Fisher would stop me after every game. Niddle, how many goals you score? I'm like, we won as a team. You know, we won 3-2. And he'd like, how many goals you score? He would ask me every time, and then I'd answer him, and he'd go, okay, and he would leave. So in 2016, I get a nomination. Eddie Gallagher reaches out to me and says, you're all-time leading scorer with Girard, 127 goals. We want to nominate you this year. So I was honored, but I was also very I didn't want to speak about it.
Right.
I saw you that year. It was just weird, but I never would have asked anyone to nominate me because I'm okay with that being tucked away.
Right.
That time is gone. But I appreciate Mr. Fisher doing that for me. I all this time I thought it was Eddie Gallagher outside of National Mechanics. Fisher goes, "You know who nominated you?" I said, "No, me." I was like, thank you very much. I gave him a handshake. So I really appreciate that. Now my apology. This is the two sides of Dan, right? You brought up graduation day because I wasn't going to talk about this, but you brought up, walking down that center aisle. They called my name for me to get up there and get my diploma. The president of the school, Joseph T. Devil, hands me my diploma and says, "It's about time." To which I respond, "Fuck you."
Wow.
Got my diploma, threw my tassel to the side, and just walked off stage. I did not handle that in the correct form or fashion. So if Mr. Devlin is still around, I don't know. I'd like to offer just that apology because that was a little out of pocket.
I got to say this, because I was there when you got nominated, when you were honored as a Hall of Fame. I think one of the things I've appreciated about you, and this goes just anybody, look, they say that people just get better with age. That's not always true. Age doesn't equal maturity, but the way that I've seen you really reflect on your journey, on your past, and definitely being the class right under, and the Russ incident, we definitely felt that. But one thing that has helped me see the beauty of the human spirit is seeing your development and growth over these years as an adult, and seeing your family and seeing your kids and the way you show up for them, and just seeing them every Founders Day. And I just want to commend you, for that journey of growth that you've been on. It's really as aspirational and inspiring. And for both of y'all, my big shout out and thank you is for doing this Dorm Disorder podcast in the season. I mean, to have these memories relived and just kind of this space to celebrate, and reflect, and even more, right? There's a lot that goes with kind of looking back in the past, and that's why I think it was so dope to be able to kind of let all that out. But you guys created the space, you invested your time, your money to just kind of do that. And so I want to give a shout out to y'all. And then lastly, I went to my first Girard graduation since we were there for the 30th year to see the class of 2025. And there was one person that was there in the stands that was there when I was there, and that was there when my brother was there. And so I want to give a shout out to Mr. Dan Garrett. 40 years being at Girard. I mean, and he's still as passionate for the young folks as he was when we were there. And there was also a kind of funny moment with him where my first instance of explicit racism happened when we went on Venture Trek. You remember this?
Yeah,
sixth grade. We were,
I got you in there.
I know we've been hanging out for decades, wrestling, tennis, and Venture Trek, and there was these skinheads at this McDonald's that spit at Kevin Sharp, and that was
and Maurice.
Yeah, and was eyeballing us, and that. It just so happened Mr. Garrett was coming that day. We were literally about to go pick him up.
Yes.
And I just remember, the feeling of unsettledness of wow, this is scary. We're in sixth grade. But the kind of comfort that when he did show up, and we was like, man, we good now. Mr. Garrett's here. And so I want to give a shout out to him and just for all the other ways in which he poured into decades and generations of people like his own. So shout out to Mr. Garrett.
All right. Well, mine's simple. One, I want to thank these lovely folks here at the Philly Podcast Space.
Yeah.
I'm not for like giving out free promo, but Tyler, Jay, has honestly been wonderful. We couldn't have picked a better place to do this podcast, and we've been thankful for our choice the entire time. So you guys have done a lot, and we really appreciate that. And the other person I want to thank is also from the class of 1996, my wife. Honestly, look, let me be honest. Like my wife, she pays for everything. I'm allowed to have this expensive hobby because I married up, and she's a really amazing person. And we are just like any other married couple. We have our ups and we have our downs, but we've known each other now for 30 some odd years. We haven't been married that long, but we both started Girard in the 6th grade. And she is my moral compass of north, because if anyone actually knows me, my moral compass goes everywhere but north. And she keeps me true. She's my North Star. She's my guiding light. And, she, for at least for my half of this, because me and Dan have really gone halves here on this. For my half of this, she's the reason that is possible for me. And the other one person I'm thanking is you. I've said it from the beginning. We are, and I know you don't want to say anything. It's fine, dude. I know. You don't have to speak. But we are the most unlikeliest of partners when it comes to this. If anybody had known us growing up, our circles did not permeate. We were in sports, so we crossed paths. We knew each other. We've been cordial through the years, even though you elbowed me in the face when when you were in 9th grade. But we've been, thank you for taking this journey with me. And this started a year before. And we really just we said it in episode 0, but honestly, thank you. Without you, and when the energy gets weak, I always got you texting me, telling me what I need to be doing and what's getting posted next and what needs to happen. So undoubtedly appreciate you, and thank you so much for this as well.
Well, now I went, now I feel bad. So Jill, thank you. I'm married up too in the health profession. So, she allows me to put in the 10 to 15 hours extra a week for editing and, 2-3 hours a day to kind of get this stuff done. So I appreciate that. I appreciate her letting me spend the money in this area. But yeah, I want to thank you too, because once it didn't happen, I thought it was done.
Yeah.
But the opportunity and the conversation came up again. So the copious notes, I said it the very first video. Everything you take, getting the questions ready, getting these episodes ready. And I'm just here to chime in and kind of edit. But we do bounce off each other well. And thank you to Rasool. I couldn't have picked a better person. Sorry, Rich. To kind of end the season with this was a great episode, and it's a lot of learning and a lot of insight in what's going on with you.
Bro,
so I appreciate
a date for you.
Oh, man.
This was going to be done 2 weeks ago.
I appreciate it.
And we were straight up like, yo, we can get Sue.
Yeah.
We got to get him on.
Yep.
And I felt the same way. I was like, yo, I'll get here from New York. I just say the word. Yeah. And shout out to my big bro too.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't get bullied more Girard than I did. So shout out.
So I want to end off by saying this. We are going to take a football break. If you know me and Dan, the one thing we agree on is that football is the greatest sport to mankind. Obviously, that's where it ends. But we knew that we needed to take this time up. But we are actually planning an event to join. I won't say too much. We're planning to join another Girardians event later on this year, and we hope to bring Dorm Disorder to that event. and broadcast to you all this event, which we think will benefit this community. Also, we want to bring this out to other schools. We had Alex on last week. She's the head director of the Alumni Association, so that helped bring us in. But we want to grow this beyond us. I think that we have a lot more in common with a lot more schools, and there's a lot more kids out there with a lot more trauma than us that maybe we need to be an ear for, or we just need to say a kind word to. So we do intend to do season 2. We do intend to do this around Founders Day, 2026, so that if you're going to be in town, we would like to know. dormdisorder@gmail.com. dormdisorder@gmail.com. We really want to bring some key voices into this conversation, not only about Girard, but after Girard, the early days of Girard. I mean, we talking about way early days of Girard. There's more perspectives that to be had than just the ones that we've had that have mostly been more recent in the years. We thank you, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you for joining us, and just for the folks that have truly been here with us. My goodness, your energy is really what's helping us continue to do this, and giving us the drive to do this for another year. So thank everybody for watching. We want to continue this, and we appreciate your time that you give us by listening to this podcast. Any other final words?
That was well put.
I got one.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here looking at these two different jerseys with two people with different aspirations. And I just feel like, you were talking a whole lot, earlier about who's the best. About who's the best quarterback in the conference. Is it Hurts? Is it Dan? So this is what I'm saying. We both have teams. Y'all both have teams as co-hosts who have Super Bowl aspirations. I think y'all need to put a little, some type of wager on, and this is the wager I'm going to suggest. Right? Since we're going to be off until the end of football.
Okay.
Whose ever team finishes first in whatever, the success, right? Whether it's a Super Bowl appearance, whether it's a, winning a division, the other one has to wear their jersey.
I ain't wearing that shit. I wouldn't even put it on you to wear mine. Like, I don't want you wearing this. You don't.
Okay, or something. All right, maybe it's not wearing a jersey. Maybe that's too much. Something that you can put on the table, some type of wager to say, like, we're going to, put some skin on the game of which team is better. And then so the next dorm disorder would be when that gets ponied up. What do you think?
Something that's equally hard for either of us to do. All you do, you got to say, your team is because I can say it this year. Your team won the Super Bowl. You all this year were the great team.
Better team.
They were great. That team was great.
No, I mean, but the thing that's going to make it stick is
okay. You won. You beat us. You were the better team.
There you go.
But I'm telling you right now, Washington Commanders will win the division, and you all will have a first round exit from the playoffs.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. You gonna let him say that?
Yeah, well, it's look, I have this ring. Can we just get that? Can we just get that? Right? It's number 26, Barkley. Not saying he's gonna have the year he had last year.
It's impossible.
But you got nobody for 98 in the middle. And I mean nobody that's gonna stop that man from coming for your quarterback. And I'm just
never gotten to that quarterback. Not once.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he stops the run. He's great at that.
On 4th and 2, when you pushed your guy out to the side.
I love it.
Yeah. And my linebacker came and cleaned up.
Okay.
We done here.
So
Shipley
so the one person will have to admit and verbally praise the other person's team.
No, let's one up it. Let's one up it.
Okay.
Let's one up it.
But I want that.
It's going to be
that's impossible for you to do.
One true embarrassing story that we have not discussed that you have not told anybody on the podcast.
Ooh, I like it. Tying it back to arcade producer. Tying it back to the podcast.
All right.
That's good stuff.
That is fair. That is fair.
All right.
I like it. That's good. All right.
Shake on it.
Shake on it. There it is.
There it is.
All right.
You an asshole.
This has been Dorm Disorder season 1. See y'all for season 2. Peace. Because I was just annoyed that people kept asking me for my Kool-Aid that came from Sam's Club, and